Right, are we ready?
Yep.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for making it today. We are calling this press conference for a heartbreaking reason, because we are here with bereaved parents, people who have had the worst experience possible, losing their children. The death of a child is the worst thing that can happen to any parent, and the parents sitting with me on this table lost their children, not because of illness, but because of social media driving them to either take their own lives or allowed others to fuel a lethal attack. I want to create a national platform for these parents to tell their stories. As a mother myself with 3 young children, I worry about what social media is doing to our young people, and I want to make sure that we can keep them safe. I've also had, in my own extended family, the loss of a young person, 27, due to social media. And I know that this problem is global, it is widespread, and it is about time that in the UK we do something about it. We need a ban on social media for under 16s. We need the government to stop dragging its heels. Social media is for adults, it is not for children. We need to police the age. That is easier than policing the content. Let's have the freedom for adults. Freedom is not for children. I think it's important that we also know what it is we're talking about when we speak about social media. We're not talking about websites. We are talking about platforms that allow strangers to connect with children, send them messages, and provide endless content, often of a damaging nature. These platforms are designed to be addictive, and we cannot have a situation where tech companies are profiting from our children's anxiety, insecurity, and vulnerability. Social media is very difficult to supervise. I say this as a parent who is relatively tech savvy. It is impossible to ask parents to control this. They need help. We all need help. Children aren't always looking for this content. It's often pushed to them, and we need to make sure that we can keep our children safe. So I'm going to, first of all, introduce Ellen Room, who will talk about the parents and why they are here. And I will let Laura Trott, who's the Shadow Secretary of Education, to explain exactly what it is that we're asking the government to do. But first, Ellen.
Thank you. We come together as a group of bereaved parents. We form part of the Bereaved Families for Online Safety group. This is 6 of us, but our group is growing every day. Children are dying every day. And all of us here so strongly back a social media ban. We want children off the platforms. We can't delay any longer. You have children dying, and our children, as in the photos here, are no longer here. We can't make a difference for our children, but we can for other children. And so we absolutely support a ban.
Thank you. So I'm going to ask everyone to speak, introduce yourselves, and say what you think needs to be heard. We'll have about a minute or so for each person, and then I'll bring in Laura. So, George, why don't we start with you?
Yes, so my name is George. I lost my beautiful son, Christopher. He was murdered by predators who attacked him, gave him 50 days to complete challenges, or else they would kill his family. He had no other option. They promised him that on the 50th day, if he completes the last challenge, then they will leave him alone and leave his family alone. Our son, IQ of 140, brainchild of the family, and we've lost him. So if it could happen to Christopher, it could happen to anybody. It could happen to any child. And that's why we've set up our charity CCF World, so that we can go and educate other parents and children about the dangers of social media, and I think it's very important.
All right. Actually, Ellen, I didn't actually give you a chance to tell your story. Why don't I let you do that first?
So this is Jules. I've been campaigning for Jules' Law, which Liz Kendall has said that she will pass, which means that children's data will automatically be preserved within 5 days of their death. I don't know why Jules isn't here. I believe it was something to do with social media. There was nothing found offline. There was no mental health, no sign of bullying, nothing offline. This was a normal, happy child, and an hour and a half before I came home, there's a video of him saying goodbye to his friend. I don't know what happened. I strongly believe it's something to do with social media.
Thank you. Lisa.
I'm Lisa Kenovan, Isaac's mum. I lost Isaac in 2022 to believe a social media act. Highly inquisitive boy, no medical, no mental issues. We were a family of 4. Now our dynamics have changed forever. It was a very happy day on that March the 8th, 2022, and we lost our beautiful boy the very next day. We do have evidence that Isaac took part on a act that was part of a TikTok challenge. And so myself and another parent called Holly, who's over there, we now go into schools, be challenge aware, and we try to create awareness for parents, because it's not wayward children, it's not unloved children, it is anybody's children this can happen to. So that hence why we're here today, and that's why we need a social media ban ASAP.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Holly?
Hi, I'm Holly Dance. My son, Archie Battersby, he was 12. We believe Archie took part in an online challenge. We don't have the data at the moment, but we know that he did watch 7 minutes of TikTok the day of his accident. Like Lisa just said, we go into schools to raise awareness, not amongst the children, but the parents. I think the misconception that parents think that their children are watching exactly what we're fed in our algorithms, like women doing their housework, is what our children are fed, and it's really not the same. Archie was an extremely energetic little boy, inspired by his brother, very into his fitness, his gymnastics, his MMA, and he had his first MMA fight coming up, 2 weeks, would have been after the accident. He asked me to order him a night coat that day, clearly a child that intended on being here. So what happened that day, we still don't know, but I do believe it was an online challenge.
Thank you very much, Holly. Mariano?
Mariano Janning, father of Mia. She passed away almost 5 years ago. She didn't have any mental health problem. She was bubbly, looking forward as any child. Suddenly, we found that she was bullied, cyberbullied, and she passed away. She took her life. 4 months after, I lost my wife. And our fight, in my personal state, is my wife fight. We need changes. Unfortunately, we need to take time of this equation with social media. Time is detrimental, and that's why we are here.
Thank you very much, Mariano. And finally, Stuart.
My name's Stuart Stevens. My son was Ollie Stevens. He grew up in a happy household. He was 80% of our family. He was our entertainment. He was our joy. Things changed for him when he went into secondary school, when his mobile phone activity became stronger and stronger, and then COVID struck and children were left to their devices, and there was constant interaction with the outside world through their mobile phones. We as parents had no idea of the harms that existed on social media, and we along with many families within the country are working to highlight the dangers of social media to young children, schools and other parents. Unfortunately, Ollie was a very trusting child, and he got into a friendship group, which was toxic. He did not realise it was toxic. He was groomed, bullied. They were abusing him behind his back on social media. He was lured out of the house and he was murdered by children, 13 years old. As you're aware, a lot of the families here self-harm, and I hate the word suicide because it's not suicide. They are bullied and they are groomed into positions where they will take their life because they are frightened of consequences that someone else is threatening them with. Or, as Lisa and Holly, the blackout challenge. Jules, very possibly the blackout challenge. These challenges are fed to children as a game, as fun. This is not the case. They do not understand the harms they are letting themselves into. So part of this panel, part of these amazing people, we are highlighting as much and as best as we can as grieving parents to let other parents know that social media is harmful. We've been campaigning for 5 years. We have tried to get these social media companies to engage with us to change their ways. There should be safety by design, but it's not happening. There is too much money being made. So the only alternative we have is to ask for a ban. And this should be a complete ban for children under 16. Just ask a teacher with what they're dealing with in schools, in primary schools even, because of social media. They need to have education first before they step into that world. A lot of adults can't deal with social media, the trouble they get into. Why should it be there for children? Why should it be there for under 16s?
Exactly. Can I thank you all for sharing your stories? It is incredibly brave of you to be speaking publicly like this. Thank you for sticking your heads above the parapet. I think what we're really trying to do is show the level of devastation that is being caused. There is an assumption out there that it's just happened to a few children. The numbers of bereaved families are growing every single day, and it's lots of different harms. It's cyberbullying, it's blackmail, threats, dangerous challenges, and murder, as we have seen. This is not about a moral panic. This is real, and we need to do something about it. This can happen to any child. As the parents have said, these were not children who had issues. For those parents who think, oh, this isn't going to happen to my child is fine. No child is safe. We don't know who will be harmed by this. And the worst outcome, I think Laura will speak on this in a moment, is that parents don't even have the data. They're not allowed to see exactly what went on. This is what we want to change. So I'm going to bring in Laura Trott, who's the Shadow Secretary of State, to talk more about how we can solve this issue and what we are asking the government to do.
Thank you, Kemi. And I also just want to say how much I admire all the parents on this panel today, because they've taken every parent's worst nightmare and turned it into a campaign to actually help other people. Now, I really want to stress, this can happen to any parent. Any parent watching this today needs to be afraid for what their child is looking at online. And the government simply is not acting in response to these dangers to our children. They've promised a consultation, but it's not a consultation on how to do a social media ban. It's a consultation on if they should do one at all. They've said they're going to be decisive when they decide what to do. That is appalling and an insult to the many campaigners who have fought for so hard and for so long. It is clear that the government does not understand the urgency of the task which is in front of us. But we do. And we have a vote which is coming up in the House of Commons in a couple of weeks. And I know there are brave MPs on all sides of the House who are willing to step up, to defy the whip if necessary, to protect children. Because what we've heard today is that social media isn't safe. We can't make it safe. We tried to make it safe. We tried to police content. It has not worked. But what we know we can do is police age. This has worked elsewhere. It will work here. It will make a difference. It won't capture every single child. We know children get around the alcohol ban. You know, they occasionally will sneak a cigarette if they're underage. But it will deter the majority, and that can make a difference. So I'm so grateful to the bereaved parents today. I'm so grateful that they've spoken up, because I hope for all of you, it helps you to understand just how bad this situation is, and we need to do something about it. So I do hope that all parties come together in a couple of weeks and actually vote to make a real difference, rather than another consultation that has nothing in it, which is really going to respond to the urgent situation that we're in.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Laura. I'd now like to open the panel up to questions. Why don't we start with Keith Bayes from GB News?
Kemi Badenoch, we've heard about the dangers of social media today from parents and from families quite literally tearing them apart. What more can you do to make social media companies engage and protect Britain's children? And if I may, a second on Lord Mandelson and Keir Starmer. The Prime Minister has performed 16 U-turns. His personal approval rating is some of the lowest we've seen in modern British political history. His man in Washington has now been arrested and questioned by police. Is it time to bring a vote of no confidence in the Prime Minister? Do you believe that, given that the Prime Minister's judgment is under serious question? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Keith. So you asked about getting the social media companies to engage. I think that the tide is turning, It's very clear that they have been lobbying hard to stop this from happening. If we can show a united front, present a cross-party effort, it's quite important that this is cross-party, so they know that there's nowhere for them to turn. I think we can actually start forcing them to think about how to implement this rather than saying it's not workable. It is workable, it is possible, and we don't need mandatory digital ID. There are loads of other ways in order to create this. If we show the social media that this is where politics is going, there's no room for them to hide lobbying certain parties and so on. I think that they will be forced to engage on the terms which the parents here have been trying to get them to do for so long. On Lord Mandelson, I think the pictures of him being arrested yesterday will be a defining moment in Keir Starmer's premiership. February 2025, Keir Starmer was, calling him, our Peter, and saying what a wonderful man he is, despite everything that he knew about Lord Mandelson. This comes back again to the Prime Minister's judgment, again and again, multiple U-turns. I'm hoping that we can get him to U-turn on his social media policy. We've got him to U-turn on a few other things. So my next mission is to get him to U-turn on the age limit for social media so we can bring this ban in for children. Let adults do what they want on social media, but children, we need to bring them off it. Thank you. Lucy McDade from Sky News.
Kemi Badenoch, you've made very explicit that you do want to ban social media for under 16s. But what if the evidence from places like Australia ends up suggesting that it's very difficult to enforce? Would you be open to looking at other ways of keeping young people safe online? And if I may, you're calling for greater transparency over the appointment of Peter Mandelson to US Ambassador. How would you make sure that you wouldn't make the exact same mistake that you've accused Keir Starmer of making?
Okay, thank you. So if the ban on social media is difficult to enforce, that's not a reason not to have the ban. We need to improve enforcement. We've tried other things, like the Online Safety Act, where we were trying to control content, and that hasn't worked. I think that it is important to consider the evidence, but we should also start it here and consider the evidence here and then adapt and adjust to that. Many people will say that, well, children will get around it, so there's no point trying to enforce a ban. This is a weak excuse. We don't say that children should be able to buy cigarettes because some of them will be able to get around it. We don't say children should be able to go into nightclubs because some of them will get fake IDs. We need to stop looking for excuses not to do it and actually just get on and do it. I don't know if any of the other parents want to come in on that point, but you asked on the second point, how would I make sure that this wouldn't happen? It would be by looking at the character of people who we employ. People who've been sacked twice should not be brought in, but should not be brought back into government. This isn't rocket science. Of course there will be people who make mistakes. I'm not saying that people don't make mistakes, but the Prime Minister's judgment was deeply flawed, and a lot of people said so at the time, by bringing in someone who had already been sacked twice in government over ethics issues. I'm not going to be bringing people in who've been sacked twice over ethics issues, and that's how I will avoid that. But on the enforcement point, do any of the other parents, or do any of the parents on the panel want to say anything?
Well,
George?
I would like to say something, if that's okay. It's to the question, the platforms, the CEOs of these companies, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all of them, they need to find the way that they have to restructure how it's going to work in the UK. Because it's quite obvious that they've structured a way in Australia, which seems to be going okay. Like Kem just said it, we can't solve the whole world. We can't fix everyone to follow the rules. But at least if we can minimize, then it will be less lives lost, just like these children that are here.
Thank you, George. That's exactly the point.
I want to say as well, I think now it's about the people who represent us as citizens to stand up to these companies. They have the funds, they have the technology, they just need to change the business model and take care of what they are doing. And it's government, I don't know if it's this one, the next one, the last one, who need to stand up for the safeguarding of the young people. That's a duty of care that need to be put in place again. I don't care, they are companies.
I think the point you've made about duty of care is important. We have to look after children. The Conservative Party is becoming more focused under my leadership on protecting childhood. It is something that Laura and I have talked about. I think there has been too much of a libertarian view that just let everybody do what they want to do, live and let live. We need to protect childhood, whether it's on social media, whether it's, puberty blocker trials, allowing children to make decisions that are harmful to them because we're too scared of looking tough or too scared of being firm is a dereliction of duty. We do have a duty of care, and it's about time that politicians actually start talking about that, talking about family again, rather than pretending that it's not anybody's business. It is our business, and we need to do more of that. Thank you. Thank you. Next question is Joe Pike from BBC.
Joe Pike, BBC News. Firstly, thank you to all of the parents on stage for sharing your very moving, powerful stories. A couple of questions, Kemi Badenoch, about what is happening in politics today. Firstly, will you back the Liberal Democrats' parliamentary push for documents to be released related to Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor's time as trade envoy? Also, you've made comments this morning and yesterday regarding Keir Starmer and Lord Mandelson. What do you say to critics who might argue this is a classic knee-jerk bit of opposition, considering the alleged offences that Mandelson was arrested over yesterday weren't known about by anybody just a matter of weeks ago?
So thank you. So on the point about supporting the Liberal Democrats' request for documents to be released, I don't think there's actually going to be a vote. I don't think anyone disagrees with them. I think it's also interesting that the Liberal Democrats have a debate later where they want to bring in a bill to provide different age verification for different social media. I think that there's a lot of messing around that's happening. There is already an amendment for a live bill. It's important that we get all parties to work together rather than everybody trying to own the win. This is not about owning the win. This is really about getting this issue sorted. That's why, I'm not bringing out loads of, Conservative banners and so on. This really has to be a cross-party issue, or it will not get done. On the point about critics saying that, I'm just opposing for opposing's sake, my job is to hold the Prime Minister to account. My job is not to say, well done, Keir, keep going. I'm not his cheerleader. I'm the person who's supposed to point out where the government is going wrong and say that they need to do something about that. And yes, you're right, Lord Mandelson is arrested for things which happened before Keir Starmer was in government. I'm calling for the release of the decisions that he made while he was in government. Keir Starmer doesn't want to release those. And, everyone's talking about Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. The King has said that the law needs to run its course. Justice will be served there, I'm very sure. But Parliament is supposed to be holding this government to account. Instead, they're doing everything they can, say, look over there, let's look at Prince Andrew, let's not look at Keir Starmer. I'm not going to get distracted by that. I can see what the government is doing, and it's a shame that the Liberal Democrats are helping them. We all need to make sure that the vote we had just a few weeks ago to release the first tranche of documents actually happens. We haven't seen those first documents yet, and now we're having another vote on a second batch of documents. Fine, but let us not get distracted. The Prime Minister has very serious questions to answer. He sacked the Cabinet Secretary who was overseeing the release of those documents. No one knows why, and we must not forget that. My job is to hold the Prime Minister to account, and I will not be distracted from doing that job. Thank you. Daisy Eastlake from The Times.
Thank you. Can I ask first the parents on the panel, do you think Labour's been too weak on introducing a social media ban? Starmer's previously cited his own children benefiting from social media as a reason why he's reluctant to introduce one. What are your reflections on that? And one for you, Kemi Badenoch. In your student loan policy, you've proposed reducing interest rates in future, but will the Conservatives look to do anything to retrospectively address the interest that has already been added to the loans for Plan 2 graduates, such as a one-off interest forgiveness like we've seen in Canada and Australia? Thank you.
So I'm going to let Ellen come in on her views about the government. And as Laura is the Shadow Education Secretary, I will allow her to talk more about the student loans policy. People, especially Martin Lewis, have probably heard enough from me. So, Ellen. Yeah.
I think I speak on behalf of all the parents here. We absolutely think the government is too weak. You know, we can't make a difference for our children. They're no longer here, but we can make a difference for the other children. And we spend our time campaigning to say, please, please protect some other children, because not one of us wants another parent to be in our position. And there is nowhere else where there's a product that is harming a child that we wouldn't remove that product, fix it, and give it back. And I'll tell you what, if you took it off the social media companies and said, you find the solution, you fix it, just as if it was any other product, and hand it back to the children, if they can make it safe, then I think we should do that. And I think all of us wholeheartedly agree that it is not safe, and you're going to end up with more parents in our position.
Right, thank you. Lisa?
Yeah, I'd just like to say as well, this isn't political. This needs to be a cross-party, and no way should our children be the pawns of this. Children are dying every day. It's a crisis, it's global, and it has to stop now. So everyone needs to come together. These platforms need to, if it's not fit for purpose, it shouldn't be here. And any child under 16 can't deal with social media. It's proven. The frontal cortex doesn't fully develop till around about 25. We find it difficult enough being on social media. How the hell are these kids coping with it? So we need it all together.
Does anyone else want to come in?
Yeah, can I just... Also, it's okay to blame other people for everything that's going on, but I think these companies have become too powerful. I think globally, governments are scared of the power they wield and the amount of money they wield. But you have to remember, they are making that money off of data everyone in this room creates, every child creates. That needs questioning. How have they got that power in the first place? I mean, I believe we dropped the ball back in 2000 when Bill Clinton passed Section 230, which allowed these companies to act with complete and utter impunity. That's where it went wrong. We are now catching up. AI is on our doorstep. Would you give a 6-year-old AI? I cannot take a 6-year-old into an 18 movie at the cinema without someone asking a question. Why would you give them AI? And just on that point, let's keep AI out of primary schools. They do not to be there. Mobile phones do not need to be in primary schools, so let's please try and work on that.
Yes, we're trying on that too. It's also important to say, if this was any other product that was killing children, it will be withdrawn from the market immediately. We absolutely need to have the same principle here. Just on student loans, it wouldn't be retrospective, but we would ensure in the future the interest rate was inflation only. Labour's made the situation worse, we would try and make it better.
Thank you.
Can I just say that Australia said it and did it. The UK, we're still talking about it. Every single second we lose in a child's life, and we're getting nowhere. That's why we're here today. Thank you so much, Kemi, for bringing us here today. Thank you for arranging all of this. This is amazing. We want changes. We want to save other children's lives, period. That's it.
Thank you.
That's all we've got to say.
Thank you, George.
Can I just add one more thing, really sorry. The parents I'm sat with have no idea what happened to their child. Thanks to TVP and the investigation that went around Ollie's murder case, we saw a 2-week period where he was being abused, groomed, bullied, and people he trusted turned against him and murdered him in a field 200 yards from our doorstep where he was safe. So this can happen to anyone, anywhere. We have no power how these people get to your child. Just think of this as a scenario. If a child is in a playground, 2 strangers walk up to him, there are people around that child that question who those people are, action will be taken. On a mobile phone, there's 100,000 people around that child and nobody's doing anything.
And can I just say, I think that something that we get across, Lisa and I get across to the schools, is when you hand your child a mobile phone, you allow a billion strangers into your child's bedroom.
I think it's such a critical point. There is so much that is beyond the scope of what we're discussing today. Mobile phones, smartphones in schools, even things like EdTech and AI. This is just the beginning of what I believe is a counter-revolution about what is going on online. We've had plenty of time now to look at things and study. This should be the beginning of a much wider debate, but the most urgent thing is getting children off social media. I've still got a few questions from the media. Genevieve Hall-Allen, please.
Hi. Firstly, thank you so much to the parents who've come to speak to us and shared your really powerful testimonies with us. First of all, to Kemi, something really interesting has been raised here. I mean, if tech companies, which are really powerful and really wealthy, indicate that they don't want to play ball on a social media ban, what are you going to prioritise? Are you going to prioritise getting this ban over the line or relationships with these big firms? And secondly, to the parents and also to you guys, schools use iPads, give children iPads in schools for learning, for homework, things like that. And increasingly AI is going to be a topic, whether it should be introduced in the classroom and how children should use it. Do you think this needs to stop? Do schools need to get a grip on this and actually say, no, we're not going to be giving iPads to kids. We're going to take a stronger line on this. Thank you.
Genevieve, thank you. So you asked, what would I prioritise? The ban or relationship with the tech companies. I don't have a relationship with the tech companies. I don't know them. And I have 3 children. I'm not prioritizing tech companies over my kids or anyone else's. That's just that's just a fact of life. I can see how tough it is for me, an adult, to stop being on social media, because there's always one more thing, whether it's on Twitter or doom scrolling on Instagram late at night, someone sends you a funny meme, and you don't just look at that thing. There's something else that's coming, and before you know it, you're drawn into this world. And it's not just social media. It's even things like YouTube, which I've taken off my TV because my children just kept watching all sorts of weird junk. I think that there's some things that parents can do, but parents cannot do everything. The tech companies are run by people who don't let their children use these things. That is one of the most powerful anecdotes. They know the dangers. They don't give this to their kids. Why should it be our children whose data they're using to make money? If we all stand firm and stand together, they will change. On tech in schools, I think my answer would be yes, more broadly, but Laura can speak more specifically on that.
Yeah, we've got a wider package of measures. We've laid down a number of amendments to the schools bill, which largely the government have completely rejected. They've included stopping the reception baseline assessment being done on an iPad, which is something which has come in recent years. We wanted to stop exams going online to normalise screen use throughout the day. We wanted to make homework optional screen-free, because again, if you think about it, children are too often being on screens all day and then at home in the evening as well, and it's really hard for parents to police that use, to find out what they're actually looking at when they're doing this. So this is part of a wider look that we're having about technology and young people, to work out what is actually helpful and what isn't. And I think the reflexive use of technology when we don't know it's being useful for children is the wrong way to go, and we are trying to push the government on that.
Thank you. Martin Beckford, Daily Mail.
Thank you. Could I just ask whether your proposed ban will be on specific platforms? Because one of the parents mentioned AI chatbots, which wouldn't be classed as social media, and there's other things like Roblox, which has been accused of being used by paedophiles, but that's not social media either. And would you include WhatsApp in the ban? Thank you.
So I don't define WhatsApp as social media, because the definition I gave earlier, the ability for strangers to connect with your children and for it to push algorithmic-driven content, where there's yet another thing that you're seeing, whether it's words, text, video. That's how I define social media. WhatsApp, for me, is not that much different from text messages. So that's not what we're talking about. I think Roblox is a very interesting example, because it doesn't call itself social media. I recently allowed my 9-year-old son to get Roblox. I am now fighting to get him off it. And one of the things that I had to close down was chats coming in, which I didn't realize were part of Roblox. And there's still ways, despite me shutting it down, the chats still keep appearing. And he now knows that this is a problem. So right now he has been banned from Roblox. Not thanking me for it, but I think that the definition of social media has to be about what it is doing rather than the name of the company. And if we define what it is doing, then we'll be able to capture exactly the platforms that are causing the problem. So thank you. And the final question is from Noah Hoffman of The Sun.
Social media firms in the wake of your children's death, and if they've tried to have a conversation about you or make any contact all. And Kemi, do you have any plans around reconnecting children with the idea of play and sport and being in nature and not just holed up in their bedroom on the toxic algorithms? Because experts like Jonathan Haidt have spoken about a wider sort of crisis of childhood and children not doing, the types of things that I did growing up. Do you have any plans around that?
Right, thank you. I will let Ellen start for the parents on your first question, and I'll come in at the end on the second one.
So it was about products, wasn't it? No, remind me of being a bit, sorry. Content. Oh, yes, sorry, that was it, yeah. Yes, when I first went to get Jules's data, it was 2 years after he died, and I approached all the social media companies, and I said, I want to see what he was seeing, because I don't understand why he's not here. And they all refused. As a parent, you have no legal right to see what your children are looking at. So I was told without a court order, I couldn't obtain it. So I have received some data, and you can download some data. They make it incredibly hard as a parent to download the data. Discord, for example, you have to go onto the child's device. You need to know the username, the password, and then when I said, I think he's got another account, they said, well, we can't give you that without you getting into that account and then requesting it. And then they won't release messages, then they won't release browsing data. I had a Zoom call with TikTok who were absolutely useless and said, well, we might have deleted the data, when I can see quite clearly on his device that there were images on it, and they've been greyed out. I now can't see anything. They've obviously locked me out completely. And then there was another time that Mariano and Stuart and I were sitting in Parliament with a phone debate, and we had YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok, and
Instagram.
Meta there. And we begged for our children's data. We absolutely begged. And the MPs in the room said, just give them the data. And they all refused. They said, well, we might get sued. And they all were like, well, who is going to sue you? It's the parents that want the data. They absolutely refused. Now, if that was a company that had nothing to hide, why would they not say, here you go, parent, I hope you get some answers? Because all we want to know is what happened to our child. They refused that data. They refused that because they know there's harmful data on their platform. And that is the only reason they're refusing it. Sorry.
I think that's right. I have nothing to add. You've answered it brilliantly. They do know what is out there, and they don't want to damage their business model.
I'm pretty sure with Jules' law, we will start to see that's. I think it will be a radical change.
You see, that's when children die. Now, when children die, eventually, when it gets royal assent, we will be able to automatically preserve the data. We've then got to get the social media companies to actually release it, so I hope they work out how that's going to happen. But then we can start holding social media companies accountable. The problem with that is you're waiting for the child to die before we get to that stage. We've got to do more before and take it off. We don't want the children dying. But that is a solution to hold the social media companies accountable when we can prove what they're actually seeing.
The reality as well, the children are the biggest customers. That's why they keep hanging on. It's profit over lives. And we've said that saying from day one. So it's time for action now. We can't keep going on and more children dying. It's just absurd, it's obscene, it's insulting for all these parents here. That the more we act, nothing's happening. But now, hopefully, Kemi's going to get this across the line.
You mentioned earlier on, who was it that mentioned Roblox?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Vile.
Yeah, so I need to make it very clear. Roblox is the most dangerous game to be played by any human being, let alone a child. And second comes Fortnite and Minecraft. I'm sorry, but I have to say that. So kids should not be on it at all under any circumstances. And and that's where it does feed in from these games that children sit there playing online with people they don't know. Just like you wouldn't speak to a stranger in the street, why should you be speaking to a stranger while you're playing an online game? But what do children know? Their brains are like sponges. They have got no idea what's going on, and they absorb everything that comes their way. And then this is what happens. And it's very sad, but let's hope that we could make changes, at least as from now on.
Thank you, George. Just to conclude this session on Noah's other question about encouraging more play, engaging with nature, this is what we would like to see. However, I don't think that this is the kind of thing government should start getting too involved in. Government cannot do everything. I'm somebody who believes in limited government. Let government do what it can do. Government needs to tackle the tech companies. It's way too much for parents. What I don't want to see is the government mandated play schemes of how many hours you need to spend in the playground, like they did with the toothbrushing thing with teachers. I think that's far too much. What I want to see is us starting from first principles. We saw what happened with the Online Safety Act, all sorts of rules and things, impossible to do. Let's start principles first. Freedom, we believe in freedom for adults. Let us protect children. Children should not be there for profit for companies that have become so big they seem to be beyond regulation and are able to influence and lobby in ways that we haven't seen before. We should not put profit over the lives of children. I do not want to see any more children dying because they've been on social media. We can do this, and I'm really grateful to all of the parents and all of you who've come in to listen to them for fighting so hard, because I know, as you said, you're no longer fighting for your children, but you're fighting for the children of everyone else, and we are all very grateful for what you're doing. Thank you so much, everybody.